Hi there, welcome back to our channel. Thanks for stopping by. We hope you like it here. We hope you stick around. This video is way overdue. I have wanted to film this for almost 2 years now, but here we are, better late than never, right? And so before we get into it, I just want to welcome you back to the channel. The Lady and Her Gentleman. I share this channel with my husband and our little growing family. Our family of 3 is becoming a family of 4. And here on this channel we share all things life, love, home decor, lifestyle, travel, and all of the things that we love. So if that interests you, please subscribe, like this video if you like it, leave me a comment. I really want to engage with you guys on this particular conversation today because it's one that's pretty near and dear to my heart and very personal to me, probably as personal as it can get, right? So I'm very nervous if you can't tell, but we're gonna do this thing. So here we go. I am gonna tell my labor and delivery story. Like I said, our family of 3 is becoming a family of 4, and it can happen any day now. So it's almost like a now or never type situation. The closer that we get to the birth, the more I think about my first experience. And it was not your fairy tale, labor and delivery story. I don't know if those exist, but it definitely did not exist in my world. And so I really just want to clear my head of that experience, share it with you all, and hopefully get some feedback and start a really beautiful conversation. But I definitely want to clear my mind and share my first experience so that I can go into this next experience, free of that. And even if that doesn't happen, I want to be able to tell this story without my second experience kind of affecting the way that I remember the first go around. So here we are. Yeah, it was just in general, it was a very traumatic experience for me. One that's very challenging to talk about, but I do it anyway because I wish someone would have told me about their traumatic birth experience. I feel like I would have been more prepared before, during, and after if I had known that these things were possible. And I know I'm kind of just talking all over the place at the moment, but yeah, it was very traumatic for me. So let's start at the beginning. The evening was Thursday, August 20th, 2020, right in the crux of the pandemic. So, that was a lot of fun. But that evening, I work with a midwifery team, and so my team had given me like all the tips and tricks, all the pointers for how to get this thing rolling. And so I spent a significant amount of time on my exercise ball, just doing all the little rotations and stretches and walking and doing all the things that they tell you to do, eating my 6 dates a day, all the things. But I have been doing that for weeks. I had been in early labor for about a week or 2 weeks. And so, yeah, I'm doing all the things, but it's still just like, I feel like I'm just going through the motions. So yeah, had dinner, watched a movie with my husband, and I was doing all the things. I specifically remember just being on that ball, and when I wasn't on the ball, I was walking, just doing anything that I could to get the party started, okay? And so we probably ended the evening around 11 p.m., 11:30, retired to our bedroom, and maybe it was more like midnight to 1 a.m. We're night owls in this house, especially when you got a new baby coming. Like you stay up trying to clean, trying to organize. Nesting is a real thing, and we spent a lot of time doing that late at night just because the days were very busy. But somewhere around midnight to 1 a.m. We wound down for the evening and settled into bed. My husband had fallen asleep, and pregnancy insomnia is the devil, so I was dealing with that. And just as I was about to drift off to sleep, this is now like the wee hours of the morning on Friday, August 21st, 2020, just as I was about to drift off to sleep, my water broke. And immediately I just calmly said to my husband, I said, babe, I think my water broke. And he popped up out of the bed and he was like, really? I said, yes, sir, it is go time. So we did all the things. We called the midwife. And it was very difficult to get in touch with the team. I don't know what was going on that night. But we called and probably didn't get an answer back until like another hour or so later. So I'm just like having contraction after contraction after contraction, and these were very, very strong. These are not Braxton Hicks. You do not pass go, you do not collect $200. This is not a game, this was real life. And those contractions were not a game, they were real life. And like nothing I did relieved that pain. All the stretches, all the rolling, taking showers, none of that is effective when it's the real deal. And I have to do it again soon. Yay. Anywho, waiting for the midwife to call us back to let us know she would be able to meet us at the hospital. She eventually called us back. Thankfully, our hospital bags are already picked out. I already like knew what I was gonna wear to the hospital, as did my husband. So we just, once we got the word, we packed it up, shipped it out, and we hit the open road at about 2:30 a.m. If not a little earlier than that. But my husband broke every law possible to get me there. We didn't stop at a red light. We didn't respect a speed limit. And he was just trying to get me there because we live a pretty significant distance from the hospital where we gave birth. And so it was just operation get her to the hospital, you know. So yeah, he broke every single rule, but I appreciated it because he was just trying to get me there as soon as possible to get me some comfort, you know. So we're going down the highway. We called our parents. They prayed with us. They prayed for us. They let all of our siblings and friends know what was taking place. And so we had all of their love, their support, their prayers. And it was nice just knowing that, you know, everybody was with us, even though they couldn't be with us due to the pandemic. And so we made our way. And as my husband was speeding, I love him very much, babe, if you're watching this, I love you, I appreciate you, thank you for what you did for me. And as he was speeding, whenever a contraction hit, it like, I don't know what it was, but it's like the speed of the car just intensified the contraction times a million. Like it was so bad. And I would just like have to put my hand on him to like cue him to slow down. Please slow down, please slow down, please slow down. And he would, but let me know if any of you had experienced that or you've heard about that or something. But yeah, something about that speeding car just almost took me out. We make it to the hospital and they come and they put me in a wheelchair. I go upstairs, I check into my room, and they check to see how dilated I am and get me all hooked up to the monitors, blah, 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 blah. They asked me if I want an epidural. Yes, absolutely, 100% yes. But my original birth plan was to wait until I was 5 centimeters dilated because I didn't want the epidural to slow me down too much. So I figured I get to the half point and then let the epidural carry me all the way home. However, by the time I got there, they told me I was maybe like 1.5 to 2 centimeters, which was in conflict with what my midwifery team told me, and they hadn't made it there yet. And so I'm like, you know what, I'm not about to do this. Ordered the epidural. Well, it wasn't that quick of a turnaround because I still wanted to like just see how it would go. But then, like without my midwifery team being there before, like when these contractions hit, I had some breathing techniques and some stuff that I was using to kind of get me through the moment, but it was rough. It was so rough. And I was trying to just like figure out how to cope with the pain until I was able to get the epidural. But when I realized it was just like my husband and I in the room and no one else was there with me to like coach me or show me what to do or, you know, have me switch sides, switch positions, get up and move, like something. There was nobody there to show me what to do, and this was my first time around. Mission aborted, birth plan aborted, give me the epidural. So we ordered the epidural and they're running down all the things like, yeah, we need you to be still, we have to tap your spine, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, just come on here, please, let's just do it. Because I was over it at that point. Like I hate needles. But at that point in time, there was absolutely no fear of needles present. All I wanted was the pain to stop. That's it, that's all. I didn't want anything more. I didn't want anything less. Just make it stop. So I got the epidural, and then from then on, it was pretty smooth sailing. I was in labor for a total of 13 hours. And over that time, everything, once I got the epidural, everything was pretty calm. My beautiful husband like just set the ambiance so nicely and played a really nice like modern jazz playlist throughout. And so we got a chance to sleep. I basically slept through the labor part except for when they had to come and check me. And they gave me the little peanut, well, not the little peanut, the big peanut, just to kind of help things progress. And yeah, I mean, it was pretty uneventful up until that point. And I had two really great Black women by my side helping me out. One was a part of my midwifery team, and one was a nurse with the hospital, and both of them were really great. I'd had this like silk scarf tied around my edges. I had a protective style at the time, but like, you know, just to keep it all together. I had the scarf on my head, my silk scarf, but it kept coming off. And so at some point they wrapped it around the pillow to make like a makeshift satin pillowcase. And in their words, edges must be protected at all costs. So, you know, they just made the experience really lighthearted and fun. We were talking about all the soul food places in the area and across the country that we want to try, which is real disrespectful now that I think about it, because the only thing I was able to eat at that time was ice chips. But it was great. That part of it was really great. And so the closer and closer that I got to actually giving birth, after those 13 hours of just laboring, there were so many people that just came out of the woodworks. Like the entire midwifery team was there, all 5 or 6 women. My primary midwife made it there. She wasn't even scheduled to work that day, but she and I have a really amazing relationship, and she just wanted to be there for me, and I appreciated that so much. And yeah, I'm so grateful for her for being there like when it really mattered. And yeah, however, it was kind of uncomfortable to have so many people in the room, because it wasn't just my midwifery team. There were like hospital staff and so many people, just so many people, probably like 10 plus people in the room. And I was really taken aback because I could only have one personal support person, which was my husband there. However, the entire hospital can come with mirrors and cameras and notepads and all this other stuff to observe. And I'm just like, why do I feel like a case study? I'm just here to have a baby with my husband, our first child ever. Why do I feel like a case study? But I've already put my request in this time to not have it be a showcase and just allow us to have our time. But there were just so many people. I remember there just being so many people. And so after that 13 hours, after my primary midwife got there and all my vitals were looking good, it was time to push. And when I started pushing, I was pushing really strong, and even the team was like really complimenting me on like knowing how to push, because a lot of, you know, first time moms don't know how to push properly. But I did my research, and so I was doing my pushing, and they were like, oh, we'll have you out of here quickly, like this is really, really good, probably about 15-20 minutes of pushing and we'll be ready to go. And so much and so that they, like the midwives and nurses and such on the sidelines, were calling home like, hey, yeah, I think I'm gonna make it for dinner, I'm gonna do this and that, like, you know, making plans to be out of there pretty quickly. And then things took a really bad turn. So 15 minutes somehow turned into 3 hours of active pushing. I didn't even know you could push for hours, but I pushed for 3 hours. And so I am not a medical professional. I'm just one woman who had one baby. I believe what they call the issue is like an anterior lip. And so my baby's head was caught like on that part of my body. And what they needed me to do was like push with enough force to kind of like pop her through that. And I couldn't do it. Like I just could not do it. And I was pushing as hard as I could, like with everything in my being. I was pushing, and they were just saying harder, harder. And I'm like, there is no such thing as harder. This is what I got. Like, and it is the hardest that I mean, from like head to foot, every muscle that I had, I was using to just try to push this baby out. And she would not go any further. And I wish we would have called it more like at the 30-minute, 1 hour mark. But I feel like she was like, from what they were saying, she was so close to coming out that they just kept having me push and push and push. But it was very wearing on my body, on my mind, on my emotions. And yeah, it was just not what I was expecting. And so at the tail end of those 3 hours, something started to go wrong. And the doctor, like the supervising doctor, stepped in, because when you deliver with the midwifery team at the hospital, they still have doctors there just to monitor, to be sure that everything goes, smoothly. And so the doctor stepped in, and I heard her say aloud, like, I'm gonna give you all 10 more minutes and then I'm stepping in. And so I'm just like, okay. Mind you, I was fully exhausted. Like every muscle in my body was fatigued. I felt like I was gonna faint, just because they have you breathe in and then you push for 10 and you take another breath and push for 10. So like I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't cope with like all the pressure. I didn't feel any pain because I had the epidural, but I felt an intense, like an incredible amount of pressure, and it was too much. And it's it brings a lot of stress and angst just to think about it. But that's why we're filming this video, to kind of shave off a little bit of that prayerfully. And so we pushed those next 10 minutes and I was done. I looked at my husband and I just said, I'm tired. Like, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like I'm about to pass out, kind of tired. And he told the team, like, hey, she's saying she's tired, But then the doctor stepped in once again and she talked to me directly. She said, sweetie, your body's not liking this anymore, and neither is your baby's. So my heart rate had like shot up and like was going through the roof, and my daughter's heart rate had started to drop. And it was at that point that I knew like we couldn't do this anymore. And so she looked at me and she said, please let me help you. And I said, okay. It had been 3 hours. We had gotten nowhere. So I just said, okay. And so the end of that 3 hours of pushing actually resulted in a vacuum assisted birth. So I still had to give like one good push while they were using the vacuum to get her out. And after that one push, she was out. They laid her on my chest, and I just felt so overwhelmed, like just so overwhelmed. And she just laid there, and I looked at her and I just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. And I don't even have words for that moment. I was so overwhelmed. I don't even know if it was overwhelmed in a good way or a bad way or neutral way, or if any of those descriptors apply. But I just felt so overwhelmed. And yeah, that was a huge moment, probably the most life-changing experience that I've ever had, ever. So they took her for me, of course, so they can get her all cleaned up, and my husband went with her, and I stayed with the midwives, and they got me all sewn up. And then they all left the room and left us to enjoy our new family. And so I was trying to figure out this whole nursing business. The lactation specialist came in and gave me some instructions, and that really helped us to get started. And then a nurse came in right in between, like where the lactation specialist gave me those instructions, and she was like, okay, we're gonna move you. And I was like, but the lactation specialist said I should stay here for about another half hour and nurse my daughter. And she's like, oh no, we'll get you to the next room before any of that happens, or before that time runs out. So I'm like, okay. She was trying to get me to go to the bathroom so they could transfer me to the other room. And I was like, I don't think that I can walk. Like, it hadn't even been a full hour or so since I gave birth. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can't walk. And she brought over this little rolly thing for me to just lean on and be rolled to the bathroom. And so we did that. Definitely couldn't walk, just like I thought. And so we get to the bathroom, and I am coming off the rolly thing to, lower myself down to use the bathroom, or try to use the bathroom anyway. But as I like lean back and try to lower myself, like I feel my body start to drop. like dropped to the floor or towards the floor. And so I'm resting my arms on the little rolly thing, I don't know what it's called, and my body is just shaking uncontrollably, like literally shaking uncontrollably, and the room is fading black. And the nurse is asking me, are you okay? Are you okay? Can you stand up? And I just like, the room is going black. That's all I see is like the room fading in and out. I see my husband and my daughter. I see them on the other side of the room. As the room is fading black for me and I'm dropping to the ground, and all I was thinking is I'm about to die and leave my husband here to raise our daughter alone. As the room is fading black and as I'm dropping to the ground. I've heard people talk about like near-death experiences before, and I never thought I would be in a situation where I literally felt like, you know, my life had seconds left. But that's what it felt like that day. It felt like I wouldn't be there to see her grow up. I wouldn't be there to be a part of our like new family dynamics. I literally thought I was gonna die. Yeah. So once the nurse realized that this was not going well, she slammed the emergency button in my bathroom, and all of these medical folks just come rushing into the room, and they're like yelling at me, you know, keep your eyes open, make eye contact, come on, we need to see your eyes, we need to see your eyes. And they put this like really strong smelling stick in front of my face, and I'm trying to like, you know, get it away from me, but they're, no, you need to smell it, make eye contact with somebody, come on, let us see you. And at that point I finally, like, I guess, come back to myself. And once I got more stable, they brought me back into the room, hooked me back up to the monitors, and one of the nurses that was with the team that rushed in was a part of my like labor and delivery team. She was the original nurse. She was switching with the girl that was trying to get me to move rooms. And my battery's dying. Hold that point. The nurse was, I guess it was the end of her shift. She was, you know, transitioning me to a new nurse, and they were trying to get me moved to the next room so that, you know, it could just be a clean transition. She could leave and XYZ. And so as they're hooking me back up to the machines to monitor me and all that jazz, my old nurse, whose shift was ending, says, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. And I'm just thinking, like, you all just tried to have me shift rooms too soon because you want to be able to leave work. And I understand it had been a long marathon push-in session, so I get it. I totally understand. And now you're apologetic about how your, you know, selfish decision has affected me, and you offer an I'm sorry. However, had I died on that bathroom floor while I'm losing blood, the room is fading black, had I died, what would your I'm sorry mean? What would that amount to? You know, if my daughter now has to grow up without a mother, my husband has to go on and raise a family, you know, without his wife, like, what does your I'm sorry amount to? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So they hooked me back up to the machines, gave me all these fluids and whatnot, and finally brought me some food. I mean, it had been 16 plus hours at that point, and all I had was ice chips. And so they just like extended the time that we were in the room, even more so than if they had just let me go with the lactation specialist plan. But yeah, they brought me some food, and that helped a lot, you know, just getting all those extra nutrients and such, just to kind of bring my body back up. And eventually we went to our new room where we were able to get some rest and, you know, just kind of take in the evening. But it was not your, you know, I hear families, new families talking about like that new experience, those moments alone where you're just kind of taking in this new life. And we had that momentarily when the lactation specialist came in to help us out. But after the whole ordeal and we finally made it to our room, that like blissful kind of experience was gone, and it had been replaced with a very traumatic experience. And you know, it was the days of the pandemic, so it was just the three of us there. We couldn't have any family come and visit. They called and texted and all that, but we, you know, couldn't have any visitors. And so it was just us taking care of each other over that weekend. Went in on a Friday, came home on a Sunday afternoon, or it was discharged at that point anyway. And it was a very, very, very rough weekend, but we made it. And I thank God that my husband is who he is, and that our marriage sits on a foundation of very strong faith, because in that moment when we didn't have anybody else and we didn't have faith in these medical personnel, which is a whole other story that we don't even, there's not enough time, there's not enough film, there's not enough internet space to hold that experience. But in a situation, in a world where we thought where we did not have any other strength to pull from, we had prayer and we had God's word, and we just rested on that, rested in that, and we made it through that very rough experience. And I'm just grateful to be alive, to even share my story, share our story. And I hope it helps someone, you know, to know that you have every single right to advocate for yourself. I wish now that I had not allowed them to move me anywhere until I felt comfortable with that, you know, because I mean, what you gonna do, snatch me out the bed and throw me in the other room? No, you have to wait until I'm willing to be compliant. And so hopefully my story encourages other women, other families to advocate for the things that you want to see, the things that you need, and to put your family first, you know, and ensure that your birthing experience is as beautiful as it can be. It is rough, it is intense, it is not a joke, it is not a game, and it can be as beautiful as you want it to be. And do not allow any medical professional or any outside personnel to disrupt what that experience can be for you. So yeah, there you have it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I've shared, and in an ideal world, I would have done this a long time ago, you know, with really beautiful hair and, you know, a fresh glow. Listen, it is what it is. Like I said, any day now, we can be welcoming our newest little bundle. I wish I could show you my belly. Maybe I'll do a belly shot at the end. But we'll be welcoming our new little one. And so it was now or never. Now or never. And I wanted to get it out. Needed to get it out. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. And I don't know when this video is going to go up. Hopefully it goes up before baby gets here, because I'm believing God that things are better this time around. And when we come back and have this conversation again, that I have a better story to tell. And even if it's not a better story, maybe it's still the same story, that, you know, by faith, by the grace of God, by the mercy of God, I'm still here, and we got a new baby. So that's it. That's all I got. I don't know what else I could even say. But if you've made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your virtual support. Please meet me in the comment section with any stories that you have, any words of encouragement, recommendations for how to deal with those types of situations when you're in the hospital and giving birth. Because it's a whirlwind experience, and you know, now I can sit and think about the things that I wish I would have done differently, but when you're in the middle of it, it's so hard to access that information, right? So help me as I endeavor to help other women, other families, and leave some comments down below and share your stories, share your thoughts, share your opinions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to building a really strong community here. And yeah, we'll see where this thing goes. So once again, thank you for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We really want to see this community grow, and yeah, that's it. We just want to build community. We just want to help others, and we want to be able to continue to share our stories. So yeah, thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.